Good evening to those bored enough to watch. I'm very much fond of platformer games. I find them to be fun, interesting, and engaging. A game so seemingly linear can also be the source of endless hours of entertainment, and I feel as though that is a commendable trait about games of that nature. A lot of the games I used to play as a young child were that of platformers. Sometimes RPGs and the sort, but I remember playing a lot of games such as that of New Super Mario Bros. For the DS and the classic Sonic games that were ported to the DS. I look back on those games fondly, and while I definitely enjoy other games now, platformers are still one of the games I like to indulge in from time to time, which brings me to today's video. I've played quite a few platformers, many from that time when I would frequent doing so, and when I was scrolling through Steam and found a certain game on sale, it had unlocked a memory, the subject of today's video, Geometry Dash. I remember playing this game a lot, mostly because I found the game fun and engaging to play through, something of which does hold up today. The game was developed by an independent Swedish developer, RobTop Games, initially beginning as a project that would have gone in any direction, remarking it simply started as a template with a cube that could crash and jump, and that there was no detailed plan. Previously developing the game for the PC, the plan was altered to attempting to develop the game as a mobile game. So 4 months later, with the Cocos 2D game engine, the game was finished, and on the 13th of August in 2013, Geometry Dash was released to the iOS App Store as well as the Google Play Store, with the PC version later coming on the 22nd of December in 2014. Since then, the game has exploded in popularity, and with good reason. So in this video, I want to talk about this game, and what makes it such an engaging experience for me. So, with that said, let's discuss Geometry Dash. Geometry Dash is a game that sees you continuously moving onwards, with many obstacles that you need to avoid by jumping over them. The jumps you make need to be timed correctly in order to properly make it through the obstacles to get to the end of the stage. Each stage in the game gradually increases in difficulty as you progress through them. However, that increase in difficulty is something that stagnates between being gradual or spiking in between stages, and so for that reason, I want to talk about only some of the stages where I feel there is something noteworthy to discuss. So with that, I want to talk about the first stage in the game, Stereo Madness. This stage is rather easy. As I mentioned earlier, it is the first stage you play in the game, meaning it will be the one that is the most gimmick friendly in terms of what we'll see in later stages. Another thing I want to mention is that this game's stages are heavily revolved around the music used in them in terms of level design, which is a detail I like about this game. To me, it represents the amount of thought that went into each stage and its components. With that, we complete the stage and move on to the second stage of the game, Back on Track. I remember this stage used to be one of my favorites in the game, and with good reason. Everything from the music to the stage's design is brilliantly done, with the stage being easy at the beginning, difficult in the middle, and easy once again at the end, all astutely represented by the background changing colours during the stage, blue at the beginning and end, showing the easy parts of it, and red in the middle, showing the more difficult parts of the stage. One of the many things I like about the game's art style is that while it's limited and simplistic, it uses that to its advantage to create something pleasant to look at while being simplistic in nature. Subtle hints at something such as the colours representing the difficulty of the stages that I mentioned earlier. With that, we move on to stage 3, Poltergeist. This stage is also where I noticed something with the stages in the game, which alludes to how brilliantly they're crafted. As the stages get more and more difficult as you proceed further, the game will often try to distract you with things such as the background and things appearing and disappearing to the side. For example, in this stage, instead of the background changing to represent the difficulty, it'll change based on the rhythm of the music, and parts of the stage will appear or disappear after or before you get to them. With so much visually on screen, I believe that the game tries to take your focus away from your position, leading to your death. I think this is a good detail, and really tests the player's focus and concentration. Personally, I always like to keep my eye ahead so that I can see my own position and what's in front of me. I feel as though it helps me time my jumps better and also helps me to learn the level layout, and that is something I will get to in a moment. Now we move on to the fourth stage of the game. This stage introduces a gimmick, these sections of the stage where you go upside down and need to platform your way through the obstacles. The game will be heavily using this throughout the subsequent stages, so my advice would be to get used to them now. I found them rather easy to adjust to. After a while, you definitely get more and more used to these sections of the game. And plus, it's in the later stages where I truly begin to have a problem with this mechanic. With that, we move on to the fifth stage of the game, Base After Base. The 6th stage, Can't Let Go, which is a difficult one, and the 7th stage, Jumper. This stage is definitely one of the more difficult ones, which is something I don't mind. However, one thing I definitely did find annoying is these sections where the game would switch to an upside down flying section, while still keeping the same button for the normal input, which makes controlling these segments feel jarring at best. While it's definitely possible to get used to these segments, the feeling of it being jarring to control is difficult to shake off. While when inverting the screen during normal gameplay is fine because you don't have to actively hold down a button, making it feel quick and responsive. Which leads me to this. Geometry Dash is a fast-paced game. It requires your utmost attention at times, and due to that relies on the controls feeling good to use. So when the controls begin to feel jarring, it destroys any sense of reliability I begin to have with it, and at some points my own liking to the fast-paced nature, because I'm taken out of the moment to adjust to the jarring controls, oftentimes leading to my death. I can get used to it, yes, but that doesn't exactly remove that feeling. One way I feel would be suitable in fixing this is through inverting the controls when it comes to these upside down sections of the game. Normal gameplay would be mostly unaffected when pressing a button such as that of the downwards key. It isn't that far to reach, and if anything more easier to understand those respective physics. Furthermore, the game also has customizable controls, meaning you could customize your normal and inverted controls if the need ever comes to be. However, this is merely a suggestion, so let's continue talking about the game. Stage 8 is a stage that is by far one of the most difficult ones for me. I spent a very long time trying to beat the stage and simply couldn't. It's one of those stages where the issue of the sideway inverted flying sections become an issue for me. However, this stage also introduces something new, where the game inverts to the side, which is pretty easy to get used to once you play the stage enough. Wait, how many times have I attempted this stage again? Now we move on to the 9th stage of the game, and these next few stages of the game are where things begin to get difficult. This stage introduces the gimmick of sticking to walls as seen here. It doesn't really take much getting used to and is pretty tame in terms of what we've seen thus far. The 10th stage of the game, X-Step, is one that I like aesthetically speaking. The setting of the stage feels interplanetary, and that is something I greatly appreciate about the game. The game's 11th stage, Clutterfunk, is one that continues with the interplanetary flying sections, though this time there are cogs and machines being added. It also introduces the gimmick of being small, which is mostly akin to that of normal gameplay. Now, I'm unsure if it's because I've been playing the game for a long duration of time at that point, but I soon got tired and mostly began messing up at the easiest parts of stages. I don't think that this is the game's fault, far from it, but I mention this to tell you that the game has 16 stages, one of which requires you to find and collect items in the stages, which after playing the game for a while at that point, I did not have the energy to finish it. I managed to talk about 11 in this video, so I apologize to whoever was looking forward to seeing me discuss the other stages for the disappointment when I say that I want to move on and talk about the extras in this game. For a game consisting of stages so linear, there is a lot for you to do within them, and there are other components of the game to indulge in. One of the many things I want to talk about in this section of the video is that of the settings menu. Now, for those who haven't noticed, there is a setting that allows for you to see your progress in a stage, something of which is helpful for players curious to see where they are. I personally try to avoid this mechanic. I don't think that there is a problem if people use it, but I generally try not to use it as it could pose the risk of losing focus on the actual stage, due to the fact that I could be more focused on trying to see where I'm at within it, potentially leading to my death. Furthermore, there's also practice mode in this game, which as you can see I've barely touched. This is due to the fact that I find it easier to be punished into learning the stage and where its hurdles are. As frustrating as it can be at times, having to restart from the beginning of the stage can really motivate you to learn it better. There's also coins that you can collect during stages, which I feel as though really help you trust the game's system of risk versus reward. While at one point after playing the game enough, you will instinctively know what to do during parts of a stage, but the placement of these coins really encourage you to take alternative routes and overall leave your comfort zone when it comes to playing through the stages. The game also may encourage you to collect these coins through the use of locking a stage behind them. For those who may want more to do within the game, there is also the level editor, which as you can tell I didn't really mess around with that much. Overall, I think that there is a lot to do within the game, and while I may not have gotten to all of the stages, maybe someday I'll return to them to see if I can take another gamble at conquering them all. With that, I want to conclude things then. One of the many things I enjoy about this game is that it seeks to create a challenge in a creative and unique way. I like how the game's stages are in tune with the music of the levels, and how the game ultimately is able to pack so much within. I can see why I liked this game as a child, and that feeling still holds today. I think this game is beautifully created, with so much packed within a seemingly linear game. I would recommend this game to anyone who is yet to try it for themselves. Believe me, hours fly by like nanoseconds when you play this game. So if you're looking for a game to play in your spare time, or you're looking for a challenge, I implore you to play Geometry Dash. So, there's the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Here we are in the first video of 2023. Sorry that this video isn't particularly perfect. I have a lot more coming on the way, so I hope you can all join me for that. If you want to view the list depicting the games I want to talk about in the future, you can do so with the link in the description. Similarly, if you want to follow me, then my socials would be linked in the description, as well as any afterthoughts or messages I may want to add. With that, I haven't really got much else I want to say, so I'll see you all in my next video. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I wish you all a very pleasant evening.